Okay, in this question, I need you to pay very close attention. So you have the random variable x that has a normal distribution, and the mean is given 17.4, so this is mu, and the variance is 7.84. And remember, if you are given the variance, this is sigma squared. And so you need to compute sigma. So sigma, which is the standard deviation, is the radical of 7.84, which is exactly 2.8. We computed the same thing in part 4. So watch part 4 before watching this. It will make this one easier to understand. So now we have the mean and the standard deviation, and the question is, find the value of data value x0 so that this probability is satisfied. So the probability that x is between 13.9 and x0 is such and such, 0.5237. So we want to find the x0, the right data value that we put here, so that the probability becomes 0.5237. Okay, so first of all, change to the z-score. Because x is normally distributed, I change this problem to the z-score. So I can say that the problem is the probability of, instead of 13.9, you'll do 13.9 minus mu, which is 17.4, over sigma, the standard deviation, 2.8, is less than, instead of x, you'll put x minus mu over sigma, less than x0 minus mu over sigma. So now let us just give names to these. So this one, x minus mu over sigma, we always call it z. And x0 minus mu over sigma, call it z0. So the question now is to find z0, and then from z0 you can find x0. So this is given to us, remember, this one is given as 0.5237. So this means, now if you compute this number here, so you do it on your calculator, you will get exactly negative 1.25, less than x minus mu over sigma, we call it z, the z-score, and x0, the one we want to find, minus mu over sigma, we call it z0. Notice that we're trying to use the z table, so we change to z first, and once we find this z0, we can use it to find x0. So this will be our strategy. So now this probability is given to be 0.5237. But you remember, the probability, so here you have this, and the probability that a z-score is between two values, this probability here, is the same as the area between the two z-scores. So if you watch the previous parts, you know that to compute this probability, I take the probability that z is less than the bigger value, in this case it's z0, minus the probability of z less than the smaller value, which in this case is 1.25. This should be 0.5237. And so from this, we can get that the probability of z less than z0, what we will do now is we will compute this part here and then take it to the other side. It will be a plus if you take it to the other side. So first let's compute it. So we look at the z table and we find negative 1.25. So negative 1.2 is here, and 0.05 is here. So you move with it until you reach this number here, which we will enlarge it. It's 0.1056. So you now go back, and instead of this, you say what it is. It's 0.1056. We found it from the table. So now you can say that this probability here will be equal to this number, which is 0.5237, plus this number, because you take this to the other side, it will become positive. So now plus 0.1056. And if you do the summation, you should get 0.6293. So now we can find Z0 from this. Okay, so you can say, therefore, the probability that Z is less than Z0, we found it to be 0.6293. And from this, we use the Z table to find Z0. So if you watch part 2 and part 3, you will remember how to do it. Now you have, this is the area to the left. Area to the left is given. So we need to find this area in the table, and from it, it will give us this Z0. So let's go to the table to find it. You see that this stops at 0.5, the highest number you can get in the negative Z score. So we don't use it here. We need higher. So we need to find 0.62. So let me write it here so we all look for it. 0.6293. Try to spot it before me. So it is, I found it, it's here. So it's coming from these two numbers, 0.3, 0.0. So this is giving me the Z score, Z0 equals 0.33. Very good. So now let's go back and plug this in. So it's the Z score, Z0 is 0.33. Now, this is the Z score of the data value, but what we need is the X0. If you go back to the question, you'll see that what you need to find is this X0 here. What value of X0? So remember that X0, maybe remember first Z0, what is it? Z0 is, you can see it here up. Z0, we defined it to be X0 minus mu over sigma. And so this means that if you want to find X0, it's just the standard deviation times Z0, simple algebra, plus the mean. And so this will give you, sigma for us is what? It's 2.8 times Z0, we just found it is 0.33. We just found it here. Yes, plus the mean, it was given at the beginning, 17.4. And if you compute this on your calculator, you'll get 18.32 approximately. You'll get 324, but let's just do it to 2 digits. So just 18.32. This is not a percentage, okay? This is the data value X. This is the X that has Z score 0.33. Okay, so this here, the answer that you get at the end is an X, not a Z. But you use Z because then you change everything to Z, use the Z table, and then once you're done, you look at this formula to change. This is how to get the Z score from a data value. So if you want the data value, you just use the same formula but solve for X0 in it. And then at the end, your answer is data value, which is in this case 18.32. And I will stop here.